Okay, hello everyone. We are watching the second race of the Summer Criterion Series in Western Australia. So this race was hosted by the Peel Cycling Club, and it was a great race. So we started nice and early in the morning, and this was my first ever crit race. So I've raced before, I've raced gravel and mountain bike and road, but this is my first ever crit race. And in the top right corner, just really quickly, is the course. So the course had a slight wind blowing from the bottom left of your screen to the top right, meaning that finding shelter on the two main straights was necessary. The corners were mostly on camber, so nice fast corners, especially the final corner leading onto the main straight, which provided a great setup for a final sprint. Okay, and now back to the racing. So we pick up on lap 2, and this is pretty much showing the power of not picking up the wheel. So I'm sitting on the back of the the guy in front of me, so this is number 106, and he was a strong rider, but you can see here through that corner, I just dropped his wheel, so I had to put in another 100 watts or so to try and pick that up, which really, over a long race, or even a short race, so this was only half an hour, over that time period, that can be brutal on your legs. So again here in a second we're actually going to see me dropping the wheel again. So this was a pretty common mistake that I made for this race. I wasn't entirely used to these corners, hadn't actually raced them before, so really the thing to learn here was do the recon before the race. So if I'd learnt these corners I would have known what speeds to come in. So you can see there I just dropped the wheel of the guy in front. Now luckily this is into a tailwind, so I don't really have to put that much more effort in to catch back up, not having to push any wind or anything. So it's not too difficult, but you can see my heart rate's still quite high, it's still 192, which I really don't want to be sitting at. I want to be sitting at about the 180s. But luckily the group, we kind of decided to slow down on this back straight. I'm not sure why initially, but at the end you'll see that this was a great platform for attacks, which eventually led to the win. So now we're about to hit this left-hand 90-degree corner, and this is where I dropped the wheel massively of the guy in front of me, which caused me to have to put in an extra 200 watts, so it was about 600 watt effort here, just to try and catch back up, which I really didn't need to do. If I just stuck on his wheel, it would have put me closer to the front, so if there were any attacks that went off, it means that I could react better and save my legs for a sprint at the end. And as we come through the final two corners, you can see the gap has now grown again from me to the front group. So right now I've got a guy behind me who I'm giving a free tow, so right now I'm pushing a lot of wind. So I just lift off a little bit, let him come round the outside. Now he has to do a bit more work. He's got an incredible cadence to bring us back towards the front group. So we still haven't made connection with the front group yet. For some reason I move out of his draft, but we get back into his draft. We've got a headwind now, so it's not too difficult to pull back. But now you can see I've kind of just lost connection for a little bit there, so I had to get out the saddle, put a little bit of a sprint in. But if you look up the road now, you can see that a two-man breakaway has formed. And thanks to being at the back of the group, I had no way to actually respond to this attack. So we skip forward a lap later. They've now got a decent gap on the rest of the group. The rider in front of me here, he actually was a teammate of one of the guys in the front breakaway. So he did the perfect thing for his teammate. So his teammate and another guy broke away from the front. He sat up, creating a gap already. None of us could chase it, and they broke off. So you can see here now I'm actually coming to the front. So I was attempting to try and get our group to speed up a bit to try and pull them back. So you can see the breakaway is still in sight. Got out the saddle, just had a little bit of a sprint just to try and bring up the average speed. But no one really seemed to respond, so we're going to come through this corner. You can still see them, so it's not a massive gap, but again, yeah, no one responds to my acceleration, but I feel that I wouldn't be able to make it all the way back. So I lift off, let the riders come around the outside, and the rider again that comes to the front is the teammate. So the teammate is now just going to be holding a pace that will never catch his own guy, because there is no point in chasing your own teammate, and now it's pretty much up for the race for third place. So the two guys in front will be racing for first. So now if we skip forwards, so we've already completed 10 miles, we've got 4 more laps to go. You can see the pace has definitely picked up. We're going 24 miles per hour through these corners, so that's just under 40 k's an hour. And we've become quite strung out now, so the wind has picked up, so now this headwind has become stronger. So you can see he's trying to stick on those wheels, and now I come using that draft with a bit more speed to the outside. So my goal here was to try and use up the legs of the guys who I felt were the best sprinters. So I felt that the Rockingham cyclist, this guy in front of me, I felt that he would be a strong sprinter, so I decided to get him to stay on the front and pretty much burn through his legs. So I knew he was never going to try and chase back his teammate, and I think the rest of us already knew that we were fighting for the minor placings. So I kept him on the front. He actually did lift off quite a few times, but I made sure that I sat second wheel. In hindsight, I probably should have sat maybe third or fourth wheel, just so that in this sprint I had a better response. We can see here, again, 24 miles per hour. My heart rate did start to drop down a little bit, so now it's down in the mid 180s, just because of staying in that draft. So you can see I'm now really hugging onto his rear wheel to keep that draft and push less air. Okay, so now we skip forwards to the final few corners of this last lap. So again, you can see I'm still sitting in second wheel, which isn't ideal for a sprint. You really want to be sitting third or fourth wheel so you can watch the guys in front of you, get more of a draft, and get a better sprint. But yeah, so I'm sitting in second wheel. The guy in front of me, I know he's going to start his sprint after this final corner. It's only maybe 150 meters after this corner is the end of the race. So he comes out of the final corner and he starts his sprint. See, my legs had already been used up quite a lot from the start, closing these little gaps, so my legs were pretty much shot. So I was able to keep the gap close. I had to sit back down into the saddle, and the guy behind me used my aero to get past. If you've managed to get all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you've learnt something from this race as well as myself. If you found this video interesting, entertaining or informative, please subscribe just to make it easier for me to create more content